So, for the past year and a half or so, I have been starting to make videos about how I want to leave the US. And a year ago, when I was in Boston, I made a video of why I'm leaving America, and it's where I state all the reasons why I want to leave the country. And I've even saw in other YouTube videos that, like, people from the US are leaving the US. Like, people are leaving the country in droves, and with the direction America's going, it was the reason I wanted to leave too. And I look back at that video and I can't believe it's been nearly a year now since I recorded it. And I made that video originally when I was homeless in Boston, and I would work all day with DoorDash, making barely minimum wage, which was $15 an hour. And at the end of the day, I don't have a home. I'm sleeping in the back seat of my car in a parking garage. And I wake up in the back seat of my car, crawling up, covered in sweat, tying up my shoes, and having to walk up the stairs or down the stairs to pay for my parking ticket and then drive out of there. And that to me was just, I don't get it. I don't get why I live in the United States of America. You know, the American dream that all these foreigners I write to telling me about America and how we are the best country in the world, the richest country in the world, the American dream. My family and I want to escape our country and go to America, the best country in the world. Americans should be grateful that they live in this country. They get to work, they get to live the American dream. They get nice apartments and nice cars and good food. It's to die for. It's the American dream, red, white, and blue. And in reality, I'm homeless living in my car when I previously had 3 apartments of my own. And to be an American citizen, born and raised in this country, I'm unable to find a place to live at an affordable price. And 5 years ago, I lived in San Diego, California. And it was ranked the 5th most unaffordable city in America at the time. And I was able to afford it because I worked my ass off and educated myself and staying dedicated to be able to get that apartment. And not long after that, I was wanting to move on from delivering groceries and start bartending, and then figured out my way to start my own company, which was a bar at the time. I wanted to create like a nostalgia bar where like I bring up forgotten cocktails and historic cocktails that people probably forgot about, and just build a decor what it looked like in the 18th century, like 1830s and 40s, when people were drinking whiskey at Wild West bars kind of vibe. And then have like a booklet of the cocktails where it shows the name and the history and the description of the cocktails. And I thought it was a cool idea. And then create like a little pub and a sports grill in it at the same time. And after 2020, it was all gone. And now I have to go back to the rat race and start over, you know? But to hear and see all these stories and topics about America and it being the American dream with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, the land of opportunity, and people such as my ancestors, as we're from Scandinavia and mostly Europe in that matter, have came to this country to escape persecution, poverty, and hunger, and to get away from mean old kings and governments. But then to see that that governance we are escaping from is being brought here. Like in 2023 alone, that year was a wake-up call. Like, I was at Revere Beach waiting to get on DoorDash to pick up some orders so I can stack up money to buy myself something to eat and hopefully stack enough to stay at a hotel for a night. As like motels in the Boston area were ridiculously expensive. It was like $117 for one night at a motel, and this wasn't Friday or a Saturday night. This was like a weekday. And I remember when I was homeless in San Diego, I was sleeping at motels for like 88 a night average. And to see that, how expensive it is to even have a motel for shelter, and working day and night, being homeless on a beach, waiting for a DoorDash order. And I got my hair all wacky more than it is now. I have like an unshaven face a little bit, and I had body odor probably smelling from probably 10 feet away. Like, I was homeless, hanging around a bathroom just to bathe myself. And yet I don't have a place to live. And it made me angry. I was like, why is it that I don't have a home? Like, I work day and night and I don't have a home. I sleep in my car in a parking garage with security trying to drive me away.
See, that's the thing. They drive slowly, then they drive freely.
And whenever you mention that, and the fact what the whole thing I just said in this video, the people in this country just laugh at you. They mock at you like a bunch of sheep. And this to me is like, am I still in the United States of America? Like, what happened to the America that it was in 2019? You know, when the economy was booming and bustling, and I was doing deliveries for a living, living in San Diego, traveling all across the country, and getting ready to move on to start my business. But then to see that everything went down under and businesses left and right are closing, people's jobs are going away, people are getting laid off, and so many people are living in poverty every day. And you always hear America's the best, and that the Middle East is a shithole with terrorists and want to come over and destroy America. But yet you meet Middle Eastern people and they're the friendliest people in the world. Same with China. You always hear about China. It's a red China communist, and that it's the most evil country in the world. It's got all security and government and communism and government watch oversight and just overall dictatorship, communism, the Chinese version of Nazi Germany, and that it's the most evil country in the world. But in reality, people even wrote to me from China and said that they have a job, have a place to live, and time and money to buy things. They come to America, they work 60 plus hours a week, and they live in their van and went to jail because of something about their wife. And it's just a crazy mind blow of how different it is in other countries. Like, you look at Denmark, Sweden, the UK, New Zealand, Tokyo, Singapore, Middle Eastern countries, and cities like Dubai, and all these places, and seeing that their economy is booming and doing well and the people are happier and healthier. But then you look at America and it looks like Haiti. It practically looks like a third world country. Like, in the past years, I see like child protective services on YouTube taking kids away without custody or a search warrant or any probable cause. And you see videos of SWAT teams and police busting into people's houses without a warrant. You see cops pulling over people for no reason, which happened to me 6 times in the state of Maine for stupid shit. And it's just, I'm looking at what life is like today, and it's like, am I still in America? Because it's starting to look like a mix of Argentina, Brazil, Dominican Republic, Cuba, China, Russia, Middle Eastern countries that are corrupt with terrorists invading their land like Israel's doing right now. And overall, like, America is beginning to look like an undeveloped country day by day. Like, the infrastructure is crumbling and falling apart. Jobs and businesses are dying left and right. People are being laid off, especially in California with their new minimum wage laws for fast food workers. Seeing graffiti everywhere, people sleeping on the streets, homeless people sleeping on the sidewalks with tents, alleyways, seeing shit on the floor, dirty clothes hanging on top of bicycles while sleeping in tents. You see heroin and fentanyl needles everywhere. You see people doing drugs on the streets of San Francisco, overdosing and dying in front of people on the streets. Overall, like, America is beginning to look like hell has reached the surface, and nobody sees it, and nobody will do a damn thing about it. And it's kind of getting scary of just how America has shifted into this terrible system in such a short amount of time after 2020. Like, the most frightening part of it all, I would say, is probably the sheeple in this country that have just adapted to this terrible system where they have quickly given up their rights, liberties, and freedoms. I still remember COVID like it was yesterday, but it just seems like most people after 2020 have a short attention span, which is what I call TikTok brain. And a lot of them seem to not remember what life was like during 2020 and before that. It's like they can't remember. They can't stay focused for more than 5 minutes. Like, I remember when COVID happened, I was in San Francisco working on my California music video at the time. And out of nowhere, that virus I heard about originally in December 2019 from Philippines came here. And they were like, oh my god, it snuck up and it hit us. And everybody's like freaking out and bulking and buying toilet paper and cleaning products and just other stupid shit. And I remember, like, before the end of March, everyone just adapted to that communist like system with the quarantine and not being outside and staying in your homes, even if it was like a 3-month quarantine. They said, oh my god, 14-day quarantine. And like 2 months go by and we were still on that same quarantine and nobody did a thing about it. Like, they just adapted to that terrible system in such a short amount of time. And to end the video, as I'm kind of getting spacey right now, as it's really late at night, it is just bizarre of what America looks like today compared to what it was 5 years ago. And I don't see any hope here. It's like my buddy says on one of my videos, like, you're wasting your time there. You're not going to make any changes unless you and thousands of people team up. And it's true. You know, I can't be wasting any more time in this country. Like, I need to do what I need to do to get out of the country. And that's why I made that video a year ago saying I need to leave this country.